You are watching Xirtus.
Because yeah, it's a kind of troll, but there's so much more to it because this is about Gestalt, right? This is the shape and form, and what they're doing is they're taking the energy of the symbol and they're inverting it. And they do well to bring up the fact that the people who make this aren't like Nazis, not like inherently, right? There are Pakistanis, Turks, Cubans. Cubans do have quite a problem with racism, but I can't be sure that that's the issue here exactly. But they also have Jewish people, and
Yeah,
there's
there's two
something that
Jews.
unites.
There's an Israeli and a Jew, and it would be
Right,
kind of
what
weird for
unites.
them to be like
It's not weird
this,
at all.
like
It's not weird at all. Jewish people are often very interested in fascist ideology, even if it's like because they're offended by it, but even more because of the idea of Wittgenstein. As you see, like what they're doing is they're saying all of this stuff, all of these things, these symbols hold power, and if we put it in front of these people, and these people, I mean monkeys, and I don't mean one group of one race or another group of another race, because all of these people believe that there's like the common man is basically like a simpleton. Doesn't matter what color you are, you're just a simpleton, right? And so to be not a simpleton, what they're doing is they're taking multiple levels of metaphor. They're inverting the meaning of the symbol the same way the Nazis inverted the meaning of a peace symbol to mean a battle flag, right? Like
Yeah.
of all objectively, it's like a battle flag. That's the opposite of peace in a lot of ways. So the symbol's been inverted. They're doing the same thing back. They're taking all these things that people have in the mainstream. Plebeians have major emotional ties to these symbols. They're taking the gestalt of those symbols and they're making them mean something else. And instead of making it mean something super meaningful, they're disguising it in the idea of meaninglessness, which is like this Dada approach. So this is like all
Subversive as
hyper
hell.
psychological and metaphysical magic work that they're doing for the affect of changing society. And one of the benefits of this is that people will be, and it's working, less prone to trust the word alt-right or Nazi to mean anything, right? Because all it's been doing is it's been saying, all right, the left are here, so whatever is adjacent, and adjacency makes you alt-right. And that's not an accurate definition. In fact, I would say a lot of 4chan are extreme left and extreme right. It's extreme, right? It's an extreme heterodox. And so the centrics seem to get along with each other. Like you can see a Democrat and a Republican get married, but on 4chan, you'll find fascists and so Stalinite communists, extreme left, right, and ANCAP and anarcho-capitalists that all can ally with each other in a certain respect because they can see things and communicate in ways that plebeians do not. And so this is why they're putting it out like this. And it's interesting because so many people are like, oh, well, I would have thought up till this year, right? When now this year things have changed and you can see signs that say genocide, hating genocide is not anti-Semitic. And signs like lambasting Israel in Hollywood, which you never would have seen before. Like all of a sudden, there is a cultural shift. And so I would like, this is like the positive of this that people don't recognize is that this was a really successful cultural shift. Like no one noticed it happen. It slipped in. It did a lot of evil. Don't get me wrong. Like half of how this works is you take $1 billion from the government or some group, and you take another $5 billion from idiots, right? That'll buy into the thing, and that builds this Ponzi scheme. But it also makes it easy for you to study people. And on one hand, you use Bitcoin to study legal drugs and human trafficking, but with NFTs, you could study artist communities and all the people that think that they're like socialite and intelligentsia. And they're able to hand these off with NDAs to so many celebrities, right? That the celebrities started to identify.
yeah. Tell them about the NDAs really briefly.
You got
for people that so basically, like all of the celebrities that were in on this, that were pumping it out, it turns out that most of them, if not all of them, were signing NDAs and getting them for free. They weren't buying them. They weren't buying into it. They were acting like they bought into it, which turns out that's illegal. So they might be in trouble when this all shakes down. And what is Lil Wayne or somebody like that, or Eminem, like what are they like? Unless they're lawyers like next to him or something, they're not going to say like, hey, yeah, you can't do that. Like you're. See what I'm saying?
right.
Lost my train of thought.
Yeah, no, it's a Securities and Exchange Commission violation. It's like a pretty big deal, and not a lot of these people would know that or like think about that, because like like one of the calls they show how Adidas was like, hey, do you have a Bored Ape yet? Oh, we'll just give you one. And so it's like it's not even a thing, you know. And so people are just lumped into this idea, and you're like, okay, what is it? It's worth a lot of money, okay, and it looks kind of innocuous, so you don't think about it. And now all of a sudden you're a rep for a thing. We just talked about this last week, you know, about how people are looking for representatives, and if they
and I gotta say, like I don't know what it is about people, and this is right, but when I saw celebrities like showing up this ridiculously stupid like ape photo, I mean, it's essentially a freaking stupid like 10-minute drawing that people are trying to say like costs a bunch of money. I mean, like what is it? That's what it is. And when I saw celebrities like going all in on it and all this, like, I mean,
well, Jack Nicholson used to do.
How do people see that? What I'm saying, how do people see that? And I get frustrated with people because how do people see that and not immediately be like, oh, well, they're playing, like they don't really believe it, like they're getting paid to do this.
That's why they didn't care what they did. They're like, look, we're literally mocking you, like we're mocking the average consumer, right? We're mocking the average individual, and it's like a universal equal opportunity kind of hate, right? Equal opportunity ignorance. So there's a number of people that are going to buy into it because they're thinking, oh, well, I'll get on the train and get off the train. And so they knew that was going to be a major way that they could do what they were doing. But clearly there's more to it again, because you look at the FTX scandal and the way these things work, where you have a psychological operation. The part that I found the most interesting was the challenge hunt, right? Because they made this weird website, and then they said, if you go, you know, looking through the website, you'll find, by the way, also the connection to Kali Yuga, of course. Like, so this isn't just
that was
like,
so elaborate, by the way. The puzzles, that was very elaborate. Right?
Because Miguel Sereno, like when you're talking about fascism and alt-right and stuff like that, the esoteric fascists, they lump onto Jung's friend, Miguel Sereno, who was a Chilean who thought that Hitler was the avatar of Vishnu, which is kind of laughable but interesting, because it says like if you're removed from a circumstance and you have no experience with it and you're just studying it on your own, you could come up with a very elaborate different thing than what's really going on. I mean, point is, the Kali Yuga people are already connected to this idea of this like avatar of Vishnu ascent. And I don't know if I did recently enough that people recall the Michael Jackson video about the hieroglyphs and the dancing man cipher, but Michael Jackson would often do this, right? Like he did. Okay. He was amazing with cryptography. People don't know how brilliant Michael Jackson was. One of the few people to beat Echo the Dolphin, and you know, he was a computer genius, and that's why he was the Prince of Pop, because he knew how to play a computer as well as Jimi Hendrix could play a guitar. No one understands that, but he was also a genius when it comes to cryptology. And so using like the dance symbols, you can find on the wall. And the idea of this game was, okay, now that we know there's a bunch of people, now that we have a bunch of money, now what we can do is we can look for the interesting people. And what kind of people do they think are interesting? People that are really good at cryptology, right? And so what kind of people are interested in cryptology? What group can you think of that would want to train you and to filter you out to see if you were good at cryptology? And when is this all happening? Right?
The FBI, the CIA, the government, like
something like that, right? Something like that. So it just seems really interesting to me for a lot of reasons, right? A lot of reasons. The clocks. Is
Echo the Dolphin like notoriously hard to beat, by the way?
It's pretty hard. These days you can do it. Now if you watch somebody play a game, it helps to beat a game, but it is notoriously difficult. What happened was Ed didn't want the game to be beaten in the rental stage, and he was really concerned that kids would rent the game and take it back. So he made it so it would be difficult to play at the very beginning, but once you got the hang of it, you kind of figure out like you can jump out of the water and all these things.